House flipping flop number 3 for $33,000. Would you do what I did? Hey, this is Mark with Freedom Hunters. Welcome to our channel. I have got another awesome story for you on a house flip that we did a little while ago. So before we get started, I want to ask you to subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, and leave a comment if you will. I am really excited about sharing the story with you because I am an entrepreneur and I want to help other people do more, have more, be more, and have some great success in real estate investing and other businesses. So the purpose of this video is to share some journeys, some stories, some things that I did right, some things that I did wrong, so that you can become better and enjoy the process. So I decided to go over to the house with the wholesaler to go look at the property about a week before closing, and the seller had left the state. So it was kind of a challenge. He said, just go on into the house. So we went over to look at the house and it was a mess. We knew that. But what we found out was the son was living in a shed in the backyard with his girlfriend. This is a shed that's 8 foot by 12 foot. He's living in the shed. I'm going to show you a video towards the end of me talking that's going to be showing you some pictures of what the house looked like, and you'll be amazed. Anyway, so we find out that the guy's still living in the shed in the backyard, and we thought, oh, hey guys, so we're selling this house. And he said to us, the son said to me and my wholesaler friend, he said, oh, well, you're not buying the house because I'm actually renting the house for my dad. And here's the lease agreement from my dad. Okay, pause right there. What would you do? The seller of the house said, no, I'm in foreclosure. Buy the house. I want it. And the son is living there. The dad doesn't know the son is still there. And as far as we know, the dad is saying one thing and the son is saying another thing. So my friend and I looked at each other and said, can we talk out in the driveway? What are we going to do about this? Is this a real lease agreement? So here's point number 1 that I want to make. As an entrepreneur, when something comes up really fast to you, what are you going to do? How are you going to respond? So we had to quickly go, okay, this can't be true. So my friend was a lot sharper than me. I just kind of was in shock. So we went into the backyard and said, hey, look, dude, we're closing on the house in about 5 days, so you got to be out. You know that. You know your dad's selling the house. He goes, no, here's a rental agreement. And my friend looked it over and he says, this is not legitimate. You have 5 days to get out or we're calling the cops. Now later on I asked him, I said, how did you know it wasn't legitimate? He says, I didn't. I just kind of assumed. This guy's a deadbeat. He's on drugs. He's living in the shed in the backyard. This place is trashed. It's a mess. The guy has no responsibility, doesn't have a job. It can't be legit. So what's the point? Wing it. Sometimes you just got to wing it, but with confidence, knowing what you're doing, you have a plan. Just keep going and be confident that you're probably correct. So let me go back to something I said in the last video. I have a good mentor, I had a plan, and I bought the house right. Those are the 3 things. Have a mentor, have a plan, and buy the house right. I knew I bought it right, and I knew I had a plan. So we decided every day that we were going to go back to the house and tell the guy, hey, you got to get out. You got to get out. You got to go. In 5 days, we're closing on the house. In 4 days, we're closing on the house. And the guy kept saying to me, I ain't got no place to go, man. I got to stay here. I have a rental agreement. And we finally said, look, this is not true. You have to be out. We are turning off the power. As soon as we close, as soon as we own it, you have to be out. And did I tell you that his girlfriend was with him too? That was ugly. So we came back the next morning and we found out that the guy was actually packing up his stuff. He had a trailer in the backyard and he was loading all kinds of stuff up. This is like 2 days before closing, but he's not really in a hurry, you know, and we're trying to figure out what's going on. And he's piling up all kinds of things like TVs and stereos and all this kind of stuff. And we're like, where's he getting all this stuff? The next morning we showed up and there were police. The entire trailer was full of stolen goods, and the trailer got confiscated, and this guy disappeared for the rest of the day. Okay, so the next day we came back, and he's there again. Somehow he got out of jail, and he's packing up. He's like, look, I know I got to be there. But here's another surprise that we got when we showed up. He was really mad, throwing things around, cussing up a storm and everything. We're like, what's going on? He said, oh, my ex-wife is really bugging me for some payments. And we're like, ex-wife? I thought that's your girlfriend. She's like, no, my ex-wife, the one who's staying in the house. And we went, staying in the house? Now, understand, it's not our house yet, so we didn't know. We thought it was vacant because the seller said the house is empty. Well, we poked around and we let ourselves into the house because the door was open. Couldn't find evidence of anybody being there, but we decided the next morning we were going to show up bright and early. Day before closing, we showed up bright and early. Were we pushing it? Yeah, probably a little bit. We showed up bright and early, and sure enough, there was a gal inside the house. Turns out that ex-wife is a meth head. She's on the prowl. She would come over late in the night and just break into the house. So the day of closing, we came and sure enough, she was in the house again. So we told her she had to leave. And then we literally put 2x4s across the door and we screwed all the windows shut. And we turned off the power and we turned off the water. And we told the guy, look, you got to be out of here. But we wound up closing. We owned the house. And now we had a squatter in the shed with his girlfriend and the ex-wife still trying to break into the house. Oh, and here's another great thing that we found out when talking to the son. Because he was willing to talk to us after a while. He got to know that we were trying to help him. We gave him a few bucks for some food and things like that. But he told us, hey, by the way, you might want to be careful about the things you do or say around here because the guy across the street, he's in charge, or he's the head of a motorcycle gang here in this city, and they're kind of a rough crowd, so you might want to be sure you get on his side. Oh, great. We didn't know that. The neighbors start getting a little pokey and coming over and saying, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Do you know who lives here? Do you know what the deal is? And we've turned out the guy across the street who was in charge of the motorcycle gang was not a very nice guy. So we were getting a little nervous about this, but anytime someone would walk by the street and they would start asking questions, I just started asking them. And there was this one guy that was kind of rough looking. I asked him, hey, what are you doing? Why are you walking around? He's like, I'm looking for a job. I said, hey, really? Why don't you come work for me? So I decided to pay him to help me clean up, right? He became my friend. He became my neighborhood watchdog security man because he knew all the guys on the street. So he's like, hey, look, I'll take care of them. You take care of me. I'll take care of you. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this is crazy, but it worked. Tip, as an entrepreneur, be flexible, be willing to do something you normally wouldn't do, and befriend the people that are in your neighborhood because you never know who might become your ally. All right, so we started cleaning this house and it was nasty, nasty, nasty. This is by far the worst house I'd ever been in. There were so many mice, dead mice, and there was cockroaches everywhere. It was disgusting. 3 30-yard dumpsters, totally full. Maxed out. When you look at the pictures, you'll see. I'm going to show you a video towards the end. So anyway, I hired this guy. He comes in, he just starts cleaning. He's a good worker. He shows up like at 11 and he leaves at 1. But he works great for 2 hours. The more I dug around, the more problems I found. And I thought, what am I doing? But let's go back to the main thing that I'm always saying. Do you have a mentor? Do you have a plan? And did you buy the house right? I knew I had plenty of wiggle room. But when I went to look at the house, I couldn't see everything because there's so much garbage in the house. But man, we had to tear out everything. So by the time we started gutting the house and discovering the subfloor was totally rotten in the kitchen because the water heater had been leaking for a long time, going down under the flooring, under the carpet that was in the kitchen and saturating the floor and rotting out the floor. And we knew the floor was squishy, but I didn't know it was that bad. By the time we gutted the cabinets and tore out the carpet in the kitchen, we saw we had to replace all the subfloor. So we started pulling up the subfloor and looking in the crawl space. Guess what we found? Over 20 yards of garbage in the crawl space that was completely soaking wet, saturated, moldy, nasty, rotten, growing on its own because the water heater that had been leaking, dripping into the crawl space, soaking into this garbage for at least a year. When we opened up that crawl space and pulled back that plywood, the smell was so bad, it was so nauseating. I had one gal quit. And another gal had to go outside because she was throwing up. It was so nasty. So what do you do about that, Mr. Entrepreneur, Mr. House Flipper? When you open up a wall or when you open up a crawl space or open up a closet and you say, oh my goodness, what do you do? Here's the tip. Back up. Don't react. Respond. Step back. Pause. Think about it. What's the best way to solve this problem? What's the fastest way to solve this problem? So we did just that. I got a respirator, I got a Tyvek suit, and I crawled down in that crawl space and started handing garbage up over the top of my head out to other people that were standing on the floor. And I did that for an entire day. And it was so nasty. Garbage, wet, dripping with water, moldy, rotten. And then there was children's toys, children's clothes. It turns out we found out from the neighbor that there were 7 children living in the house with the son and the wife. It's only an 800 square foot house, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 7 children. It was disgusting. It was bad. It was wrong. And I was so upset when I was pulling that garbage out of that crawl space, but I did it. It took me a whole day and it was nasty. All right, so we continued working on the place. It was hard. It was ugly. But after we got it gutted and cleaned and we hired that one guy in the neighborhood to clean up all the yard, we replaced the roof. We touched everything. 40 days from the time we started, we got the rehab done. We sold it in 6 days. 6 days! We staged the house too. So what were some of the things that happened was we went over budget by $8,000. The point was I had a big budget, but I staged it and we got it right and our realtor was awesome. We sold the house in 6 days and we made a profit of $33,000. Would you have done what I just did? Well, let's just wait until you see the video to see if you would be willing to do what I did. As an entrepreneur, sometimes you will do things that no one else will do because you see the potential. You see the potential profit, the potential victory, and you are willing to go through things that most people are not willing to do. That's the journey of an entrepreneur. In summary, I would say because I had a good mentor and I had a good plan, I knew the numbers. Oh, and I also had a good wholesaler. He was willing to be patient and work with me. And if you could find a good wholesaler, man, they are gold. They are certainly gold. All right, so that's all we got on this story. So would you have done what I did? Man, watch this video and let's see. This is Mark with Freedom Hunters. Thanks for being here. Subscribe to my channel. I'm going to show you this quick little 3-minute video on all of the photographs and the stuff we did. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next one.